I'm here to talk about geothermal because we have geothermal in Zambia. I'm here to tell you that after 14 years' work, we have established that geothermal is viable, and within 3 months, we will prove it to you with the first power plant. It is an important source of future energy for Zambia because I believe there is at least 1,000 megawatts of geothermal in this country, and that's conservative. So, without the presentation, which we can arrange for you to be given afterwards if you approach Sonika, my assistant, I will go through the whys and hows. First of all, geothermal in Africa is associated with the East African Rift. You've heard that Kenya is probably producing 50% of its installed capacity with geothermal. That's just over 1,000 megawatts. Ethiopia, after some ups and downs and a detour with the Grand Renaissance Dam, is heading for the same sort of number, although nothing is commissioned. Our geothermal plant will be the second country in Africa to commission one that works. Anyway, geothermal associated with the East African Rift, that is magmatics, that's volcanics, hot volcanoes, molten rock. You can get the idea of lots of heat in the ground. But geothermal is also much more widely available in sedimentary basins. Zambia has a number of sedimentary basins of the Karoo era. For those that are not familiar with Karoo, that's Permian, that's 260 million years ago. That's a long time. And it's twice as long as the volcanics in Kenya, which are about 120 million. These Permian basins in Zambia have heat associated with their periphery, the edges. Geothermal systems exist under every basin between the Congo and Cape Town. First off, geothermal is sustainable baseload electricity generation on an infinite resource. There will be geothermal long after human time on this planet. Our own resource is calculated at over 2,000 years of energy. There are challenges, of course. Geothermal is site-specific, and but then so are other places. We have been challenged by, to date, slow regulatory approvals. I won't name names, but there are requests that dates from November last year that has still not been addressed. This leads to poor investor confidence and thus makes money expensive. What I ask of this conference, particularly those on the financial side, is that you consider how we can get additional concessional money so that we can fast-track our utility-scale development, and it's instead of going from 3 to 8 to 12 megawatts and beyond, we can actually jump those together. But we need further funds to do the drilling, which is expensive, but we do understand it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you will support geothermal in the future.
So getting straight into what kind of solutions we can bring to the immediate and present situation. We all know, in the first quarter of this year, I think by March, we started getting load shedding. We know that it's been caused by a severe weather phenomenon, and this is just about the worst we've had it in Zambia. I believe, I may be corrected, I believe levels in the Kariba for this time of the year are the lowest they've ever been. And so, as has been said, our dependence on hydro, while hydro is a great technology, we are open and susceptible to climate change and climate effects. So our immediate response was to look for opportunities to bring power from the region. There are 1 or 2 countries in the region that have a bit surplus power that we can draw into Zambia. So we collaborated with FQM, one of the largest, if not the largest, mining operation or operator in Zambia at the moment, We collaborated with ZESCO to help facilitate the delivery of power, the importation of that power, wheeling it across the sub-region by virtue of our membership, and through Zambia to deliver to this mine. It's important that I just mentioned that while there's a general or a public outcry about the shortage of power, our role in working with large corporates ultimately does deliver some relief to the system in general. Being able to bring in, 25, 30 megawatts of consistent supply to a large customer does just that. It's also important to know and just emphasize that this requires significant upfront financial commitment to secure such power from the region. It requires speed of movement.
I think that's just to say that ZESCO is basically still doing the generation, transmission, distribution. ZESCO has not yet been disbanded, as I have read somewhere. ZESCO is still functioning as a vertically integrated company with the marketing and system operation systems being taken away so that private participators can actually participate fully without perceived discrimination on the network. So ZESCO is still exactly what it is. I'll take you straight, I think, onto the current status, and I'll give you the historical flows and reservoir performances. Clearly, as all other speakers have spoken, depending on hydropower alone will not take us where we want to go as a nation. We need to diversify. So the two river basins give you the picture, and that's why we are where we are in terms of power rationing. We basically now ration the energy which is available to see if we can hop on to the next day and the next month and hopefully to the end of the year. Kafue Gorge Reservoir is controlled, of course, by the discharge from Iteji. So if you have not much water from Iteji, Kafue Gorge Reservoir will sit neither here nor there. But last year, we were at a slightly higher number, much higher number than 9.8%, which we have now. And so, generation projection for the Kafue River Basin for the remaining period of the year, Iteji, we're only doing 33 megawatts out of 120, which gives you just about 28% capacity there. Kafue Gorge Power Station average generation is 369, which is 37% of the factor against the 890 or 990 megawatts. Then the lower, we're supposed to be generating only about 186 megawatts. Now, what happens is that when we request for power rationing and some industries, mobile industries, will basically just uplift their equipment, welding machines from one end of town to the other. So we are not saving. Then we also have, of course, people who have managed to install energy-saving equipment in their homes. So in the day, if they are supposed to be using 33 units a day, what they do is they gather the 33 units in the day and the other 33 units in the battery. So we are not saving still. There is therefore reason to do something different. So the difference should be, one, we should encourage everyone who has such gadgets to actually install solar panels so that you harness your own energy and put in your own battery. When you get from the grid, you are not helping the situation. Yes, you are helping yourself, but you are not helping the situation. So we shall be requesting through the board, the ERB, to actually cap the energy usage per household. As you might be aware, the tariff structure is such that we have lifeline tariff, which sits up to about 200 or 300 kilowatt hours per household. And everybody, including those who consume more, benefit from this. So beyond lifeline is luxury. So what we shall request is to cap energy usage, that beyond lifeline, the imported power cost has to be met. So we shall request for an emergency tariff indication adjustment for the period remaining in the emergency time so that we only use energy that needs to be used. We have a time, an opportunity to also invest in the solar rooftops, as has been said already. This is going to help in that we're also going to inject in the net metering factor. Net metering factor is basically you putting up your own solution at your house. When you have excess energy, you push it into the grid and ZESCO will pay you. That is for the households. We also have the bigger part, which is microgeneration, which also has been approved by the board and the ministry. Microgeneration, we believe that up to 5 megawatts, the minister did mention, a light-handed approach will be engaged to ensure that those licenses are quickly produced. And ERB has given us all the support and also indicated the platform that when such potential investors come through, they will get these licenses quickly.
What I've heard many speakers before me speak to is the energy mix, the optimal energy mix. So Ndola Energy provides some type of mix. We've been heavily reliant on hydro, and we're suffering for it. And I think we can learn from this, that moving forward, we have to strive for that optimal mix. As IPPs, Ndola Energy being an IPP, we are ready to deploy capital. We are ready to bring solutions in. It's just a question of the environment being made very conducive. Environment such as yesterday when we restarted the plant, environment such as the policies, the regulatory frameworks, the laws, the cost-reflective tariffs, because investors would like to bring money, but also be assured that when they bring the money in, there's a recovery mechanism for that money so that they can reinvest it elsewhere. So we are very happy that part of the environment that we're speaking to as investors, the minister spoke to this. PPAs being tackled efficiently, approved in record time. That is giving impetus to many of us that have the capacity to want to fast track our development agenda, our development programs, so that we could be part of the solution. At Ndola Energy, for example, we have intentions to build on top of the 105 megawatts we have. We want to add up to 700 megawatts of generation right here in Zambia. We see this opportunity, the energy crisis that is ongoing, we see it as an opportunity for us to sit with government, sit with ZESCO, sign the PPAs that we need to sign, do the studies we need to do, deploy these megawatts where they are needed. We are looking at 200 megawatts of solar to be blended with a 105 megawatt generation. If you know anything about thermal generation, it's expensive. Diesel is not cheap. But we want to blend that thermal generation with hydro, with solar. If we do that, the tariffs that we're looking at in the PPA we are negotiating with ZESCO, we are very competitive with that blend. And we're excited at that opportunity that the first 50 megawatts could be injected in the Bwanamukubwa substation in the next 8 months once we finish the discussions with ZESCO. We're also looking at hydro opportunities. I know ZESCO has been developing Mulungushi hydro project. We would like to express interest in that when the RFP comes out, so that we can co-develop that. More hands on deck, more hands looking at the same problem. We work together through this crisis. We are going to be better for it as we move forward.
So in line with this pillar, which seeks to promote closer stakeholder collaboration in the energy sector, the Energy Indaba brings together stakeholders from a cross-section of society to address challenges affecting the electricity subsector and to discuss and progress already well-known solutions to remedy the crisis. So in that regard, this Indaba has representation from government and government agencies, the business community, bilateral and multilateral organizations, commercial and agricultural associations, mines, parliamentarians, academia, consumer protection bodies, policymakers, civil society, and non-governmental organizations, traditional leaders, and general members of the public. Honorable Minister and distinguished invited guests, as we are all aware, Zambia is currently facing an El Nino-induced drought, which has had devastating consequences on many critical economic sectors, which include agriculture and the electricity supply industry. Consequently, on Thursday, 29 February 2024, His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema declared the drought a national disaster. Specifically, inadequate rainfall patterns which were recorded in Central, Copperbelt, Eastern, Lusaka, Northwestern, Southern, and Western provinces negatively impacted electricity generation at most power stations across the country. That resulted in the current electricity generation deficit of more than 750 to 900 megawatts. We will have a presentation later this morning where ZESCO will be clear as to where we are with this deficit. Now, this situation is likely to increase as the water available for hydroelectricity generation continues to reduce. So this Energy Indaba, appropriately themed Navigating the Energy Crisis Towards Sustainable Energy Solutions for Zambia's Future, has brought together experts in their respective fields to discuss possible interventions aimed at addressing the energy crisis in Zambia through plenary sessions, presentations, and exhibitions. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, Zambia is heavily dependent on hydroelectricity, and as such, this crisis should serve as a wake-up call to each one of us to accelerate development and attract investment in renewable and alternative energy resources. In this regard, this Indaba is a clarion call to the participants here today to continue thinking outside the box and collaborate so that the solutions we already have can crystallize as quickly as possible to mitigate the crisis we are facing as a nation. This will lead to a restoration of normalcy to the day-to-day lives of our people, and then staying on the road to sustained economic development.
In order to accelerate the procurement of new generation capacity, government is reviving the 120 under the Renewable Energy Feed-in Tariff, commonly known as GETFEED, procurement program. This project is being supported by the German Development Bank, KfW, to development of 300 megawatt Mamba Collieries Phase 2. In our quest to promote diversification of the energy mix, government has granted approval for the development of the 300 megawatts Mamba Phase 2 project to meet the electricity deficit as well as meet future energy demands. Luapula River CX hydropower project. My ministry is decisive to harness the 271 megawatts power potential on the Luapula River. Therefore, plans are already underway to ensure progress on the development of these long outstanding projects. I'll now move to long-term projects. 1. Implementation of Integrated Resource Plan. My ministry launched the Integrated Resource Plan in 2023, which is aimed at providing sustainable solutions to Zambia's challenges in the electricity subsector. The Integrated Resource Plan envisions the development of additional generation capacity of 6,500 megawatts by the year 2026, requiring an estimated investment of $5 billion. You may also wish to learn that the Integrated Resource Plan projects a total of 23,000 megawatts by year 2050 with a responding investment requirement of approximately $31 billion. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, given the measures that have been instituted by government, I wish to reiterate that this Energy Indaba is critical and timely as we focus on rebranding the energy sector in Zambia with a view of unlocking its full potential, augmented by a strong political will, a sustainable policy and legislative framework. Therefore, I wish to challenge policymakers, industry, stakeholders, the academia, investors and financing institutions, bilateral and multilateral partners to explore business models that will leapfrog the potential of the energy sector in Zambia into a new realm of sustainable development. I believe that the dialogue that will be stimulated by this Indaba will not end today, but will be a continuous journey of effective partnership between government and you, our stakeholders, in enlisting multi-sectorial strategies tailored towards preparing Zambia for the next level of sustainable energy development.
Hello, what a special day this has been. My name is Clarence, representing Financial Insight, and we're here at Mulungushi International Conference Center, where it's been the Energy Indaba. Welcome to Financial Insight.
Thank you very much.
So please, for people who might get your name wrong, who might not know who you are, if you could just introduce yourself to the public,
Sure,
please.
no problem. My name is James Band. I'm the chairman of the Energy Regulation Board. I am a legal practitioner by profession.
Okay.
I've been practicing law now for 25 years.
Uh-huh.
I run a private law firm, and so being the chairman of the ERB is a privilege.
Absolutely. So for some people out there, all they know about the ERB is come every month and you put up prices for petrol and diesel. So obviously there's more to the ERB than just petrol and diesel. Can you please just articulate to the public what critical role the ERB plays in the energy market in Zambia and the energy sector and regulation as a whole? Yeah.
So the ERB is a regulator in the energy space. And when you're talking about energy, you're talking about electricity, petroleum, and renewables.
Indeed.
Now, when you talk about energy being a regulated space, you basically mean that there are laws and rules which govern any players in that space.
Okay.
And when you talk about the laws, those laws would be the Electricity Act, the Energy Regulation Act, the Petroleum Act, which tell you whether you are going to be an OMC or a petroleum dealer, what you need to do to set up a filling station, and how you conduct yourself thereafter. If you're going to be in the electricity subsector, to tell you what you need to do, what license you need to have. If you're in the renewables like solar, what you need to do to bring in solar product and to distribute. So we look at all of those subsectors and we regulate the conduct of all the players in that space.
Okay.
And in doing that, we try to balance the needs of all of those and at the same time protecting the consumers. So the idea is that if you look at the electricity subsector, for instance, you have investors there. The investors, when they put up their plants to generate power, the expectation is that they'll make a profit.
Absolutely.
At the same time, when they're selling power to consumers, we expect that the tariff at which they will sell to the consumers is not something which is unaffordable to the consumer. So we try to balance that, ensuring that generators make a profit, but at the same time, not at the expense of the consumer. So that's in a nutshell what we do as ERB.
Okay, so you mentioned there OMC, which stands for Oil Marketing Companies.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for that. Coming into today, the Energy Indaba, and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first one ever Energy Indaba in the country. And the theme was navigating the energy crisis towards sustainable solutions.
Yeah.
So obviously the ERB put this thing together today. What was the thinking behind this theme?
First of all, you have to go back to why we are where we are. The problem was the drought, which has affected a substantial part of this region. Zambia is dependent 85% on hydroelectric power. So if you've got poor rains, you are hit and hit badly, like we have been hit right now. So when this became eminent, that there's this problem in this country, the government put into motion plans to alleviate this problem. The idea behind this Indaba was to push that conversation ahead and explain clearly to all industry players and the public at large what plans are in motion and ask for their input. And so that as we implement, everybody's on board and we're all moving in the same direction. At the same time, the expectation is that those participants whom we've had today will also give us ideas on what we can do to alleviate this problem, not for 2024 or 2025, but for a long time to come.
Indeed. And it's been a long day. Some of us have been here since 7 hours this morning, and it's past 18 hours now.
Thank you for staying.
You can see that people are still here.
Yes.
There's been a lot of active engagement, and people have been quite animated in some cases. So do you think that the objectives that you set out for this Indaba have been achieved for the purposes of what today was about? Yeah,
to a very large extent they have been achieved. But what is clear also is that people who came, as we could see right at the end, have got so many ideas to put in place. So what I would say, one day was not enough.
Absolutely.
But to a very, very large extent, what we planned has been achieved because we fully explained what is in motion. People have inputted in those plans, and we've received several ideas on what to do going forward to deal with this issue, not only for now, but also for a long time to come.
Okay, and finally, I appreciate that time is of the essence. For those people who might not even have been aware that there was an Energy Indaba today, because it was put together at such short notice.
It was.
And also, for those who might have been here, but did not feel that there was enough time for them to articulate themselves, what can they do? Is there any mechanism?
Yes, the mechanism available is for them to get in touch with ERB.
Okay.
Yes, we've got a full-fledged website where you can contact us. Also, at any time, they should be free to visit our offices and we'll attend to them. The situation at ERB is not business as usual. Everybody is on a full alert and working overdrive, working overtime. So complaints, ideas, solutions are not being found. They're being acted upon immediately they arrive. You heard today how we deal with power purchase agreements.
Indeed.
They will take too long. Within 48 hours, both management and the full board will sit, even on a Sunday or a Saturday, to deal with the PPA so that within 48 hours it's dispatched.
Absolutely.
That's the way we're working now. So anytime people have got plans, ideas, solutions, they are free to see us.
And on that positive note, it falls upon me to say you heard it for yourself, the chairman of the board for the ERB, and it's been a pleasure having you today with us on Financial Insight Show. Thank you very much.